Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. The weather so far, it's cloudy, not too bad. It's supposed to warm up today, be kind of humid, and then possible chance of severe thunderstorms this afternoon, and then also moving into the weekend. So if you live in kind of the Missouri, Arkansas, Ozarks, moving over into the Mississippi Valley area, might be ready for that, because there's a chance of some tornadoes and large hail and stuff, it looks like. So it came out today that Walmart is saying that they're going to have to start raising their prices, that the tariffs have kicked in enough that they're going to have to start raising their prices. So you're going to start seeing some items on the shelves higher. Yesterday I spent just a little bit of time, not a lot, just kind of playing around, trying to compare prices right now as opposed to a few months ago. I was mostly using Amazon because it's just easier to do it there. And there's definitely showing an increase of prices. And it wasn't just like stupid, cheap, junky garbage. I was trying to find things that I thought that Americans would kind of be buying. And yeah, there's an increase of price. In shipping is increased. Even if you have, like the Amazon Prime free shipping, there's still an additional fee tacked on. So the price of stuff is going up, and that's going to start affecting Americans, because remember, I know a lot of you keep saying, oh, it's worth it to bring, America manufacturing back and all this kind of stuff. But, Americans are, right now financially in a tight spot. Savings is the lowest it's ever been. Debt, credit card debt, auto loan debt, housing debt is the highest it's ever been. Delinquencies on debt payments is the highest it's ever been. It's not that America is not in a great place economically right now. So adding more to that is not a good thing. And I know that gas prices have gone down, the egg prices are coming down, but there's a lot of other things going on that's going to raise that up. Now I know that you're going to say, well, we just this price increase may just be temporary, because we've worked out all these trade deals. And I keep seeing people say that, Trump has worked out trade deals, and he's worked out all these peace deals and stuff. Let's be clear. As far as I can tell, there's only been one actual trade deal worked out, and that's with the United Kingdom. And, we don't do tons and tons of trade with them, but we also have been a partner and friend with them for a long time, basically since the War of 1812, for the most part. And so it's not too surprising to work out a deal with that. The whole China thing, there's just been a pause. And even yesterday, the president was indicating that they may kind of raise some tariffs on a few items, which they have already done since that agreement for that 90-day pause, which kind of sort of took us back to where we began. There was no trade deal worked out. So there's still that. And then there's, of course, tariffs on items from all over the world. So tariffs are still there. And so there's not really any trade deals worked out. And as far as peace, there's no peace deals worked out. A lot of stuff is verbal. Nothing is solid. This Ukraine-Russia thing, that's not been resolved. The president said yesterday that he thinks that a deal, some type of nuclear deal, peace nuclear deal, is on the verge of happening with Iran. But I don't know. I mean, he says that, but yet the actions don't really seem that way. And what the United States is now talking about is not much different than the agreement that Obama made with them all those years ago, where, okay, you can have nuclear technology for power, but you just can't make nuclear weapons. That's what got us in the position that we're in now with them, where we told them they could, they just can't make nuclear weapons. You can't make high grade material. And then they went ahead and did it. So I don't really consider that a win so much. and then reducing sanctions to do that. He's already talking about dropping sanctions off of Syria, and they have a terrorist as their leader. I mean, it was just months ago. We're not talking years. We're not talking, oh, that was a lifetime ago. We're talking just months ago. The guy was considered a terrorist, and now he's a world leader. It's kind of mind-boggling. But back to price increases. There was a sign back in, or numbers back in March that spending went up, people were buying, and they believed that was because people saw the tariffs coming. So they, like I'd been telling you, you better go stock up. Well, people went and stocked up. And now we're seeing numbers starting to decline. So in the coming 2 to 3 months, will inflation go up? Will GDP go down? It went down just a hair this last time because the reality of tariffs and stuff is starting to set in. I don't know. But I want to make it clear that while some of this stuff that's being talked about, while the president is running around in the Middle East, and all of these other things, there's lots of little cogs and wheels working. I get that. Nothing's been done yet, and so it's like, while I talk about the stock market, and I say that the stock market is fickle. It's a poor representation of the economy, and I think that's all true. But I think it's a good representation of people, because the stock market, because it's people buying, reacts the same way as people do. They hear this blip in the news, and they just immediately like, oh, it's all good. When that news came out last week that there'd been a trade deal worked out with China, everyone was like, oh, it's all over. We're going to go back to normal. When in fact, there's no trade deal worked out with China. And it's all still happening, Oh, well, we were working out this deal with Iran. There's nothing that's been worked out with Iran. Everything's in talks. And as we have seen so far, what is said in the beginning and the actual outcome can usually be very different things. I mean, look at the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. We were told that was going to be resolved in 24 hours, and then we were told it was going to be a few weeks, and then we were told by the 1st of May, and all this confidence, and there's this back and forth on this of, maybe we're siding with Russia, or maybe we're siding with Ukraine, and it keeps everyone in this limbo, because most people want to believe that this stuff is going to be worked out, that this is going to happen. Another example, weeks ago, several weeks, early on in this administration, the president had talked about potentially taking control of Gaza. And then he backed off of that. That was when he was talking about taking control of Panama and taking control of Greenland and taking control of Gaza. In fact, there was even a video, an AI video that he released, showing golden statues of him and men with beards dancing in Gaza and all this kind of stuff. And he backed off of that because, Israel and a few other countries said that's not a good idea. Now he's talking about it again. He says he wants America to be in control of the Gaza Strip. They need to run it. They need to manage it and to work this out. Listen, it's not a pro or anti-Israeli thing. The Gaza Strip is a hot mess, and it's been a hot mess forever. And I'm telling you, if America gets in there and we have to put troops on the ground to police it and everything, it's going to be a hot mess for us. This back and forth, while it may be a strategy for the president to accomplish certain things, it could just be that it's not a strategy. It just could be that it's just his weird ways. But either way, that could be a strategy for that. But we have to understand that for you and I, it can create disruption. For you and I, we're further down the totem pole, and we have to be prepared for that. A lot of these trade deals and these peace deals, while they look good on paper, they sound good. Oh, we're working out peace in the Middle East. Oh, we're working out peace with China and trade with China, and we're working out trade with India and all these other places. That doesn't necessarily translate to good things for you and I. It could, but not necessarily. So don't let your guard down just because there's media hype or a hyped up market reaction or whatever. Don't just buy into this stuff. Keep going down the path of preparedness. And look at it this way, even if the stuff that the president does is somewhat successful, who's to say that the next guy won't turn around? You know, that's the big worry with the whole Iranian thing. You know, what if Iran does comply with Donald Trump's demands? Will they comply with the next president too? We saw how that worked with Obama. And so that's why continually preparing and realizing that even though certain things that are happening in the immediate may look good, the long-term effect of all this stuff is very dangerous. And even though the final outcome could be good, the effect that we have to go through to get there is going to be disruptive. Even Federal Reserve came out again and said that, you know, that a recession is uncertain, but uncertainty in the market is certain. I mean, that's kind of my words, but that's what they said. That we know that there will still be more uncertainty in the economy. And so, and we've heard that from the Trump administration, that, you know, it's going to be disruptive, it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be uncertain, it's transitory. So at the very minimum, even if you agree with everything that the president is doing, the very minimum, understand that getting to that outcome that you're hopeful for, or maybe the president's hopeful for, it's going to be a bumpy road. And so you need to stock up. It could be minor, it could be very catastrophic. And we need to get ready for that. Prices increase, economy, disruptions socially. You know, there's this, looks like Antifa and folks like that are kind of starting to raise their ugly head again. Could we see more disruptions in that way coming this summer? Who knows? But we need to prepare ourselves and constantly be prepared. That's our ancestors lived that way, and we should too. It's why you need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.